Betrothal. That's what we're going to consider today. Let me read a couple of verses from Luke's Gospel. In the 6th month, the angel Gabriel was sent from God to a city of Galilee. That's Luke 1 verse 26. To a virgin espoused or betrothed to a man whose name was Joseph. Well, that was the relationship between Joseph and Mary. They were betrothed. Now, what does that mean? Betrothal is the second stage leading towards marriage. After the mutual commitment to each other, a couple would then prepare or have prepared an official engagement document so that they could fill in their names and check the details were correct. They would then, when that document was ready, they would then be gathered for an engagement or betrothal party where the couple would go under a little shelter. Now, this little shelter was called a chuppah, C-H-U-P-P-A-H. And they would go under this little shelter made of 4 poles and a cloth roof, reasonably decorated depending upon their ability to have it ornate or just simple. Now, that traditional document printed out on a form with blank spaces for the names to be written in, they would fill in those forms in front of the witnesses, a witness for the bride, a witness for the groom. And if the document contained financial agreements, there would need to be a guarantor, one for each side in case one of them was not able to pay. And then once the document had been signed by the witnesses, the couple and the guarantor, that was a commitment to marriage. A betrothal is a commitment to marriage. Nowadays, the engagement, a modern day engagement, is an intention to marry. But the betrothal was a commitment, a solid document signed and agreed to. So that's what we're talking about today. What happens during this betrothal time? Well, gifts will be exchanged under this little canopy, and speeches probably will be made under this chuppah. And then in ancient Jewish custom, after the ceremony was over, the bride must wear, in public anyway, she must wear a veil to show that she is espoused, committed to be married to this particular man, nobody else. So in other words, she's off limits, nobody else can go near her trying to court her or get her interested in them. She is committed to marriage. That's what the betrothal is. After the engagement ceremony, what happened? Well, they would separate and they would probably not see each other very much. They wouldn't be seen together in public. If they were seen together, it would always be with somebody else present. They would never be left alone as a couple. And the groom's focus would be to go and prepare a place. Now you remember these words, prepare a place for his bride. This place was, by tradition, on the father's land. It could be, if the father's house was a big place, it could be built on as a kind of apartment or whatever to the main house, or anyway, it would be nearby the main residence, maybe a separate building, but it would be nearby. Now, of course, you remember the words that Jesus said to his disciples. They were heartbroken because he told them that he was going to leave them and he would have to go to the cross. And but this is what he said on the night before his crucifixion. These are well-known words. Let not your heart be troubled. Believe in God, believe in me also. In my Father's house are many mansions or homes. If it wasn't so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go to prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you to myself, that where I am, there may you be also. That's in John 14, well-known words from John 14, verses 1 to 3. The commitment of the disciples to Jesus had been made over 3.5 years being together. It was just Judas Iscariot who was the bad guy in the group. He betrayed Jesus, but that was in God's plan. It was all prophesied that he would. And the disciples had remained faithful to him. And they had to watch or be near to the crucifixion, where the agonizing price was paid, the bride price was paid. This was the cup, like in the Jewish festivals, they have certain cups meaning certain things. This was the cup of suffering that he spoke of in Gethsemane in Matthew 26 and verse 39. May this cup pass from me, but nevertheless, Father, not my will, but thy will be done. So the crucifixion, the blood was the bride price. After the cross, Jesus spent 40 days visiting his disciples and telling them of the coming of the Holy Spirit. You can read about that in Acts chapter 1 and verses 3 to 8. And then a cloud came and lifted Jesus up to heaven. And the disciples watched him, and angels comforted them by saying that he would return in like manner. That's recorded in Acts 1 and verse 11. And nobody knows the time or the hour, only the Father, because when the Father sees the Son in his preparation of the place, he would then judge it to be ready or not. And then he would say to his Son, go get your bride. And the groom with his friends and the blowing of a shofar, 1 Thessalonians 4:16, he would come and collect his bride. We call that the rapture of the church. The bride and her virgins would need to be ready with their lamps full of oil, symbolizing the Holy Spirit. So let's stay full of the Holy Spirit as we wait for the rapture, because our part is to recognize the season. It's very, very soon.